everyone, myself Mrs. Divya Ballar. I am PGT Biology in Shri Gurukulam Vidya Sankull. Today's my topic fascinates me a lot, and the topic is genes and stuff, that is the factor which is responsible for the two another topics which I have written there, heredity and evolution. Now let's begin with our topic. Welcome to the genes and stuff. We already know that genes are the building blocks of our body. These genes are the blueprints of our life. We are having different characteristics, like we are having different skin colors, different eye colors, right? These information is already present in our body in each and every cell in a coded form, and these coded forms are called as genes. Now let's begin with this topic. While understanding the topic genes, we will say that the blueprints of our life. What is blueprint? Blueprint gives the idea of whatever the characteristics, features we are having, and these blueprints are already present in our body in the form of genes. Now let's enter the fascinating world of these genes. Genes are carried from generation to generation, from one generation to another generation. Whatever characteristics now you are having, you got it from your parents and from your grandparents. The transformation or the transferring of the characteristics from one generation to another generation is called as heredity. For example, you must have heard that your eyes are like your mother or your skin is like your father. From where these resemblance come? These resemblance come because you got the genes from your parents for that particular specific characteristics. Okay. Now, these genes are nothing but the small piece of coded language. In each and every organism, in each and every living being, we are having 23 pairs of chromosomes. That is, we are totally having 46 chromosomes. These chromosomes are nothing but the genes, the small segment that I have encircled. These genes are attached to each other and they are organized in a very compact form. These compact form are called as chromosomes. Out of these 23 pairs, 23 chromosomes we are getting from our mother and 23 chromosomes we are getting from our father. So, for each characteristics, we are having a pair of genes. For example, skin color, we are having a pair of genes. Out of that pair, only one gene is expressed. Okay. Now, whenever these genes are transferred from generation to generation, for example, from your father, from your mother, you are getting some genes. You will transform these genes to your offspring. So while copying down these genes from generation to generation, some mistakes takes place. For example, if you take the Xerox copy of any document, some type of printing mistakes or some type of mistakes takes place. These mistakes, while copying down the genes, while passing down it to generation, are called as mutations. These mutations sometimes are beneficial, sometimes are harmful, sometimes they are neutral. That is, they are not causing any type of changes in your body, and these causes evolution. Evolution means introduction of the new characteristics from a generation to new generation. For example, just now I will give you, in this I have kept here. Now there is a gene called as there is a protein called as a myostatin. This protein is responsible for limiting the muscle growth. But there is a boy called as the Liam from Michigan. He got a mutation. He born with the mutation in this particular protein. So this protein now, because of the mutation, cannot able to limit the muscle growth, and that is why the boy got the huge muscle strength. That is, we can say he has got a superhuman strength. Now for this boy, this mutation is not harmful. This mutation is beneficial for that particular boy. But not always the mutations are beneficial. Just now I have told you that they are sometimes harmful also. These mutations are responsible for variation. Variation means which provide uniqueness to each and every individual. For example, your physical characteristics are not as same as mine. My physical characteristics are not similar to any other person in the world. So each and every person in the world is unique. This uniqueness is only because of the variations which are caused due to the mutations. Now mutations are not only the risk factor which cause the variation. There are other factors also. For example, gene flow is there, sexual reproduction is there. These type of variations are responsible for creating variety of life on our earth. That is, the diversity of living organisms are created on this earth. We know there are many species of organisms, varieties of organisms are present for plants, animals. So these varieties are created only because of these three factors: mutations, gene flow, and sexual reproduction. Not only these mutation, gene flow, and sexual reproduction creates the diversity, but they also helps the living organisms to adapt the changed environmental conditions. So it is so beneficial to us, right? Now these uniqueness or these variations are responsible for the factor, or the next topic which we are going to is evolution, which creates the variety of living organisms on this earth. This evolution is not a random process, okay? The evolution possesses certain laws. The evolution takes place by following certain laws. The scientists called as the Mendels formulated the laws following which the evolution takes place. He formulated 3 laws, okay? The first law is the law of dominance. The law of dominance says that whenever any living organism is showing certain characteristics, it is only because a gene, which is a dominant gene, is present. Now the example which we are seeing here shows that there are 3 sets of cherries. This is 1, this is 2, and this is 3. Now in cherries number 1, the color is red, and you must have observed a set of genes that is both are capital A. This capital A denotes the dominant gene, okay? Another set of gene in example number 2 we have seen is showing 2 small a's, okay? These 2 small a recognizes or represents the recessive gene, and in example number 3 there is 1 dominant gene and there is 1 recessive gene. In the absence of dominant gene, that is A, the color will remain as that of the recessive gene. Now you in the example number 2 you have seen, you are observing that the color is not red but it is yellow in color. But in the presence of dominant gene, for example in example number 3, the color is red. In the presence of dominant gene, recessive gene will never get expressed, okay? In the absence of dominant gene, only the recessive gene gets expressed. So those genes which is getting expressed are called as the dominant genes, and the another gene or another set of allele of that gene which is not getting expressed is called as recessive gene. So this is the first law of evolution formulated by Mendel. Another law is the law of segregation. Now segregation means separation. While formation of the gamete in sexual reproduction, 2 types of gametes are formed. One is sperm, which is formed in male, and another is ovum, which is formed in female. Whenever the sperm and the ovum is formed in the reproductive organs, each and every gamete receives only 1 pair or 1 gene of the pair of alleles. Now we already know that there are 2 alleles, that is a pair of genes, there is a set of genes. Whenever there is a formation of gametes takes place, only 1 allele from each pair they are getting. For example, here I have just shown here that, for example, there are 3 chromosomes. Each chromosome you are observing is that they are present in the pairs, okay? But these are gametes which are just ticked here. These are gametes. Each and every gamete you are observing here has received only 1 chromosome and not the 2 chromosomes. So that whenever these chromosomes fuse with the another set of chromosomes from another gender, for example male or female, they will form a pair. So the number of chromosomes is restored in the future generation. Otherwise it will create problem, okay? And the third law of evolution is the law of assortment. Assortment means a bunch of something, like bunch of characteristics. Here we are discussing genes, so we are talking about a bunch of characteristics. From the example which I have just shown here, you must be observing that there is a person, there is a boy which is fair in color, enough but the hair is curly. There is a girl which is black in color, but the hair is straight. Both of them give rise to an offspring, but here offspring is black in color, but the hair is curly. This means that the gene for skin color or the gene for hair color are not linked to each other. They are independently segregated and independently allotted to the future generation. Now here it must be, we can say that the gene for fair color and the gene for curly hair should be linked, and gene for black color or the gene for straight hair should be linked. So boy is not having the similar characteristics. That boy or girl is having a combination of characteristics, right? So these law states that the characteristics are independently allotted to the offspring. They are not at all linked to each other. These three laws are the laws of evolution. By following these three laws only, evolution takes place, that is creating a new generation, future generation, so that their generation must have different types of characteristics apart from the older generation. Okay. Now, just now we have discussed something about genes, what are the laws of evolution, heredity, variation and all. Now, what is the future of genes? Future of the genes in the sense, how can we utilize these important building blocks of our body for our benefit? How can we manipulate them for our benefit? And these manipulation takes place in another science branch, that is genetic engineering. In genetic engineering, we can manipulate or we can change the genes, that is the building blocks of DNA, for our benefit. We can add the genes also, we can remove the genes also, or we can change the genes also, we can modify them also for our benefit. This is called as, all these things are takes place in genetic engineering. Now I will give you one example. There is a plant for example plant number A, which is having a big fruit, but it is prone to disease. It gets disease very fast. Okay. There is another plant called as plant B. This plant is having very small fruit, but this is immune. They are not having disease, or they are having immunity for the disease. But now what is our requirement? That the plant must give us a big fruit, but that plant is immune also. So what we will do? We will take the gene for big fruit from plant number A, and then we will take a gene for small immunity from plant B, and then we will combine them to give another variety of plant which is giving us big fruit, and the plant is immune to disease also, so that it will be beneficial to us. So this is the benefit of genetic engineering, isn't it? So all the desirable characteristics we can accumulate in one character or in one individual, so that it will give us a beneficial results. Now what I am telling you is that the generation to generation, when the genes are transferring, we have seen that mutations are taking place, introducing new characteristics from one in the new future generation. So these are responsible for creating a diversity of living organisms, varieties of living organisms on the surface of the earth. This is called as the biodiversity. Each and every living organism has a particular environmental conditions in which that particular organism can survive. It is called as the ecosystem. Now it is our duty, in order to prevent or in order to save that ecosystem, so that variety of living organisms on the surface of the earth should be saved. Why? Because they are also important to us. You must have heard of the term food chain. What is food chain now? Food chain means each and every living organism, so small it may be, they are all dependent on one another for the different purposes. So if we are saving a living organism, we are saving the ecosystem, we are in turn saving us only. So this is the importance of biodiversity. And the genetic diversity means the diversity of genes which are present in that living organisms. It is called as the genetic diversity. So it is our duty to protect this ecosystem, to protect the genetic diversity by controlling the pollution, and in such a way, in turn, we are protecting us only. Okay. Now this is we came to the end of our session. Okay. I am very proud and I am feeling very happy to share my knowledge with you. Now, for just a short recap, I will just going to tell you what we have just gone through. We are just discussed about the genes. We are just discussed about the heredity and how these factors are responsible for evolution. Okay. Now, whatever genes or whatever physical characteristics which you are observing now, not necessary that you will observe these characteristics in future. Each and every characteristics which you are experiencing today has a long story to tell. They have gone through many changes, and then they are like what we are observing today. So it is now our duty and now it is your responsibility as a future generation of our country that how we can explore many more fields in order to improve them or in order to utilize these characteristics for our betterment. Thank you very much.